Ben in Israel is Joel Rubin. He is a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State during the Obama administration. Joel, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to ask the same question to you that I just asked of Ben. Given what we've seen in the past few weeks in terms of escalating violence, and then it subsides for a little bit, where do you think things are going right now, given that there is no talk of a ceasefire, as Ben was saying, in the words of a diplomat, those talks seem to be on ice?
Yeah, Alex, it's great to be with you, and thanks to Ben for that reporting. It points to the civilian impact of this. It's really heartbreaking to watch how Palestinians and Israelis are running for their lives. I have family in Israel, sending pictures of them running to bomb shelters. So this humanitarian part really needs to be first of mind in terms of how we assess this. But when it comes to the diplomacy, right now, we're really stuck for the United States in between two very strong, somewhat immovable objects. Tehran is backing the Islamic Jihad. They're pushing them to launch these missiles going into civilian areas in Israel. And then on the other side, Israel, quite frankly, has a government that is not interested in a two-state solution or in talks with the Palestinian Authority on any political horizon for peacemaking. So those two drivers continue to enable bad actors, and in particular, the Islamic Jihad, to really take these actions, harming civilians. And I do think we're going to see more intensity related to Hamas in the coming days as a result of the lack of calm that's continuing this morning.
Yeah, to that point, what are you watching? As Ben was saying, this is now focused. This is between Islamic Jihad, which for our viewers is one of the two main militant groups in the Gaza Strip, Hamas being the other one. Hamas not involved right now. We also heard to the north in Lebanon from the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. They're obviously watching things closely. So how worried are you about those two groups, Hamas and Hezbollah, getting involved?
The longer this lasts, the more dangerous it becomes. And these are two groups that are, again, aligned with Iran, and Iran is pushing them to take actions into Israel right now. And it's important to talk about this diplomatic engagement by Egypt. Egypt and Jordan, led by the Biden administration, have been very active in trying to keep things calm. There's been a process underway at Sharm el-Sheikh and in Aqaba in Jordan. And it was very useful and effective during the last month when there was a confluence of high holidays and a concern about violence. Well, now the violence is happening right now. And so there needs to be signals from Israel about its time constraints, when it's going to stop. And also these other countries, they need to get engaged, because Iran sees an opportunity here to continue to push and pressure and have missiles shot in. And that only feeds into this cycle of violence that Israel's government seems to be, in many ways, gearing up for responding to. And that's deeply concerning.
What would you want top Biden administration officials, Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, and others to be doing right now? Who should they be reaching out to?
Well, what they've done is right in terms of ensuring that Israel understands that we have Israel's back from security perspective, but leaning in to the need for providing some oxygen, for example, to the Palestinian people. The Gaza Strip, as an example, it's the most densely populated place on earth. It has extraordinary unemployment. And the horrible irony of the deaths of today described is that Palestinians from Gaza are getting into Israel to get work and improving their quality of life. So leaning in on that, on improving the quality of life for the Palestinians, on pushing the Israeli government to get into a political discussion, and as well as ensuring they understand that the Iron Dome supplies are there. And on the Palestinian side, working with Qatar, with Egypt, and our allies to have Hamas really rein in the Islamic Jihad and not have this metastasize and grow into a conflict between Israel and Hamas that up till now, clearly Israel looks at Hamas not as the key protagonist that they want to fight, and that Hamas has some governing power in Gaza.
Yeah, it's a very troubling moment. Joel Rubin, we are appreciative of your perspective. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Alan.